Hi, welcome. Today we are doing things a little differently, and I'd love to get your input if you like this style video or if you prefer my other style videos. So please make sure to leave a comment down below and give me your opinion. For those of you that don't know, welcome. I'm Ingrid Carlson, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. If you're looking for a space where junk journaling, memory keeping, and creative art comes together, then you're in the right place. My goal is to inspire you to see the beauty in everyday materials and turn them into something that is meaningful. And that is what we're going to do today. We are making kind of a fabric flower brooch for your journals. So this is a great project for adding. We're going to be making some fabric flowers, but this is a great project that you can do to add onto a front cover of a journal. And I'm going to show you, I have an example of a journal that I've made with you guys. It's a Dollar Tree gift bag journal, and the colors just don't really speak to me like they did at one point. So I'm going to show it to you. And it's a very pretty journal. I don't know about the colors. So I've never worked inside of it, and I thought this would be a great time to try to revamp it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take this off. And I wonder what kind of glue we used here. It's pretty good. I did a pretty good job not ripping it too much. That looks like it might be the art glitter glue, so it held on pretty well. Okay, now we are going to create a different cover. I'm also going to put a different fabric here. I work mostly with pinks, if you haven't noticed, and so I think I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to lean it more towards the pink side, which I think is going to be pretty easy to do since I have these florals here. And so mainly what we're going to cover this, we're going to fix it up. But today what I wanted to focus on is creating a flower cluster to put on the top. Because of all the flowers, I think this would be great. And so what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to start with the prototype, and I'm going to show you so you get it kind of an inside look at the way that I work. So I have I'm going to show you here. I have my iPad, and I made a list of types of fabrics that you could use here. So I have organza, silk, lace, cotton, tulle, and then to add interesting touches, I have jewels like pearls, beads, I think I have, charms, and then I also have yarn, mummy cloth, muslin, or cheesecloth. Let's see what else. And then the base can be either cardstock or it can be cereal box. It could be felt, whatever you want. The cereal box and cardstock are definitely going to be weightier, and they're not going to mold. Since this journal is already very kind of flimsy, I went ahead and went with felt. We're going to design the shape. And so my thought is right now that because of the way that this journal is created, I know I can use this top half and I can actually go into it. So, and excuse me because I'm still sick, which is ridiculous, I know. So what my thought is that I can kind of come down and around. So maybe kind of like, you know, like that paisley shape, like something. Can I go more sketchy? Okay. So that's my base, what my thought is, and then we can build flowers. So we can have like a bigger flower here, smaller flower. We can have like little leaves maybe. We can do maybe a flower here, here. Maybe this can be just lace coming down. So I would just so that kind of gives me a backdrop to work off of. Now, as we get into this, I don't know how many tutorials of flowers that I'll actually do. So we may end up having 5 flowers. We may end up having less, but we'll go with it. But I wanted to show you kind of my process when I'm doing something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the shape of this. Okay, that was a crazy helicopter. So I'm going to take this. You can take a piece of chalk, or you can take maybe like a light colored color pencil and make the shape for this. I actually know that I don't want it to be any thicker and I'm being very liberal here. I don't need this to be perfect. Okay, so that's good. And now I know that I want this, and I'm going to switch these scissors because they don't want to cut. I'll try these. So we said originally we're going to round this off. And then we're going to kind of come down here. Round this out just a tiny bit. And we can leave this like this for now. I think my original one went in a little bit, but I feel like that works. Okay, so this is my base. I'm actually going to put this over to the side so that I make some space. I'm also grabbing some, this is just my little box that has threads and needles and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. I also have this box, which is my remnants of fabrics, and as well as a chindi rug that I've cut up and I've been using for years now. One rug, which is awesome. I'm going to grab one of my papers from my last kit, which I should have here. Maybe I'll do this color. Let's see how this. Might want to go more pinks than that. I don't know if I have all the colors here because I've used quite a bit. I mean, I do love that, but I don't like this. This one might go a little bit better because it's got those pinks kind of match. I do like this, so I'm going to keep that out. I also want to look at these. I think that would be pretty as well, but I think the other one pops more. last one I wanted to try was this one. Oh, I kind of really like this. Excuse me. I think I'm going back and forth between these two. I think this one's fine. So I'm going to keep this piece out so that it kind of gives me the colors that I'm looking for. I'm just going to put it over to the side. That way I can keep checking back and forth. Oh, another thing is we're going to be using a hot glue gun. So this is a great time to plug it in and have it waiting for you instead of you having to wait for it. Okay, so let's put this to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of stick this on my lap so you won't see it, but I will start, actually I think what I'll do is put this here and I'll start building it with the colors that I think would be pretty together. Let's see. I know that one was on top, but I do think that those go well with each other. I think maybe a little bit of gold. I like that tone better. I'm looking for maybe some darker pieces to add, since this has the light and then the dark. And I'm going to throw that one in. I don't know if we'll use it, and maybe that one. And we'll start with that, since we're not sure yet what we're going to do. This, I think, is going to be, this is an old curtain. And where did I put my felt? Oh no, there it goes. My thought was, since I had drawn out the felt, is that the felt can be the base. The lace can be the base. And because I don't want the felt necessarily to be seen, maybe we'll cover it. And maybe it'll look nice with the green. So I want to look to see if I've cut this up already, and then go cut it on that end. Oh no, I haven't cut this one yet. And I was probably holding on to it like, maybe I shouldn't cut it up. Let's just check the top part. This is the hardest part for me. Can anyone relate to this? Is I bought this with the intent of cutting it up. And now that I have it, I feel like I can't cut it up, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with you. So these are like some kind of weights or something. I'll keep those just in case. All right, so I think we're going to cut on this end. And I'm just going to go in. I'm going to cut it bigger. I'm going to cut these flowers here. And I'm going to go to these flowers. That was a lot easier to cut into since you were here with me. I had to ignore the half of you that were like, don't cut into it. And I went with those of you that were like, yes, do it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my list of different flowers. We had the felt, and I'm actually going to pull it back over because we're going to use the felt to back some of the flowers. And you're going to see I'm not going to use any kind of of pattern or anything, I'm going to just go ahead and go in and cut it. So I want a circle here. Pretty decent circle. I think that's a good size. This is going to be our base of our first flower that I'm going to show you, and the base can be a little smaller than the flower itself because the petals are going to extend. So I think the first flower I'm going to show you is going to be the easiest, and it's going to be maybe our centerpiece flower, which I think is going to be this color. So you're going to want to take a rectangle of fabric, whatever that, however wide you want it. I'm going to start off with this piece, and I feel like that is a little too wide for what I want. So I'm going to cut it down like right here. We're going to rip it. The problem with using this kind of fabric, and I don't know if this is sari silk or if it's I don't know what it's made out of, but you get a lot of these little pieces, so it's a good thing to have a little trash bin that you can work on or that you can work with. So I'm going to start off by folding this over, and we are going to cut this. We're going to grab our glue gun, and I want to show you this little trick if you've never seen this before. When it's time, oh, it's not really time yet, but once this glue stick, because you can see it's right at the edge here, once it goes inside here, so it'll be harder for me, I'm going to join it by adding some glue here and then sticking it on, holding it on so it makes an adhesion. That way it doesn't fall out. But for now, I don't need to do that yet. So I'm just going to take this, and right along the edge, I'm just going to drop some glue. I would recommend doing this in smaller steps instead of one big glue bead, especially if it's cold where you're at, because the glue will dry up. And I think I missed a little bit there, so I can stick that in there and glue it, or just leave it. It's not pertinent that this is perfect. I think this is pretty dry, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start cutting. And I don't want to cut all the way to the top, and I'm just going to start, the first cut's kind of the hardest, and then it gets easier after that. The thinner your cuts are, the harder they'll be. And the more you want, these are actually your petals, and so the more that you want them to blossom or like the billowier they are, the deeper you want your cut to be. And then if you want it to be more rigid, then you're only going to cut to maybe here halfway instead of as far as I'm going. I'm sitting on my desk doing this, and I think that it would be easier if I was standing, because then I could go a little faster. I also feel a little bit of pressure when I'm filming to go faster for you guys. Not that you've asked me to do so, but I feel like when it's in video, it's, you know, it's kind of like the TV shows when they have the dessert already made. They pull it out of the oven after a second of being in there. You're going to love how cute this flower is. And I'd love to know if you have used this technique before and made flowers. What did you use them for? When I was young, my mom had, I think my mom made it. It was a photo album, and it was all fabric, and it had these fabric flowers in it. Oops. That cut might have been a little deep. The good thing about these scissors is that they cut through almost anything. The bad thing is like they cut through almost anything. And these are the Tim Holtz, I think it's 7, I don't know why I want to say 17-inch, but I have no idea. They're the bigger ones though. Okay. So now that we have this little like hula skirt looking thing, we're going to take our felt and we're going to start wrapping around. And you could do this with thread. Now what I'm noticing is my glue, at least right there, it's not as bad over here, is very stiff, and so I feel like I'm gonna have to maybe break it down a little bit. I don't want to go I don't know why my glue's doing this. Maybe because it's freezing. Okay, so normally the glue is pliable, and hopefully back here it will be pliable. You can see it's bending, whereas here it doesn't want to really bend. So I'm actually going to cut it. Normally I would not do this because you don't need to, but because I can't bend it, I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to kind of go every about 3. So if you have the same thing happen to you, you can do this. And I'm just going to cut out every 3. And you can see how hard that glue is. It's kind of hard to cut through. Let's try with these. So instead of, normally you'd wrap it like this around, right? But because I can't do that, it's too strong, and I really never had that happen before. But we're gonna roll with it, and we're just going to add the pieces on, and I'm gonna just overlap a little. And I can see here where I need extra. Maybe it's not too late. Oh, ouch. So you can see this made my flower a lot bigger than the original piece of felt. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut these down. Instead of trying to fidget with it. Oops, I cut one of the little flower petals, so I think I'm going to just cut it off. You can see how hard it is to cut through this glue. The beauty about this project is that there's no wrong way of doing anything. So you can have it lopsided, you can have it symmetrical, you can have it however you want. That I think I'm going to add 2 here because I have them and I might as well. Okay, so I'm just going to look around if there's any pieces that are missing or if I wanted to add it. And so you see how sloppy it is, and that's because we made our cuts so deep. So I think that's good. I could do an extra one here. Why not? Let's just add it. Okay. And that is our first flower. Now, if you wanted to completely cover this with this flower, you would just keep doing the same thing, whether your glue's not hard and it is moldable and you can keep filling it. You can also fill it with another color. Like, I think that would be really pretty in the center with just doing the same thing as having it. And this actually fabric is already, you see here, there's a stitch in the middle like this. And so I could just go in like this and add a center, but I might want to do that, but I want it to be smaller. I don't want there to be so much red. Like maybe like could go in. So for example, something like this, we could fold it over and do the same thing so that you have a little bud. I actually like these little strings that are attached, and I think I'm going to make a little faux center. I just cut off a strip of this, and I'm going to try to get that somehow in the center and just kind of melt the pieces together. Let's see. Actually, I have another idea. So I had this fabric. Maybe. And then that in the center. I think we're going to do that because I think that I like the layers of that. So I'm going to wing it. So we'll see if this pans out or not. I feel like my flower's a little big because originally my thought was to have other flowers here, so maybe we'll squish them in. But we're going to go with it because it was meant to be this big. Okay, so I'm just going to stick some glue there, and I'm going to try to work semi-quickly and try not to burn my fingers. And I'm just gathering the fabric. I don't want to be too perfect with this part. I want it to be organic and just kind of fall into place. So I'm just scrunching it up. And all I'm really doing here is closing that gap where you saw the felt underneath. Ooh, that was a little spicy hot. And I think that's going to be the end of it. I'm going to just cut this and tuck it in like that so you can't really see where it where it ended. Oh, no, I'm going to do it like that. I think that kind of went in place, and that gives me actually, I'm going to glue that, and it gives it a fun kind of center. And now I'm going to take this and just give it a little bud in the middle. It's like faux stamen. Glue a little bit of this down. Oops. And that's good. So let's get rid of all these glue strings. And this is our first flower. Isn't that pretty? And you can do any variation of this flower that you want. The next flower that we're going to make is going to be, let's maybe do, put that to the side. I think we'll do this fabric with that one. So we're going to do the same thing, is cut a piece of felt into a circle. This time I want the circle to be a little bit smaller because I don't want that flower to be as big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a template, and I'm just going to make some squares here, and we're going to make them somewhat similar. So now I can use this as my template, just like we did in the last video for the paper flowers that we made. And if you didn't catch that video, I'll have it linked down below so that you can check it out. They're really beautiful flowers, and they're super easy to make. Did you see that? I almost got my sweatshirt. And I'm going rogue on this one. Don't all these pinks make you happy? Just looking at them on my desk brings a smile to my face. Okay, now for this one, this is very, very important. You need to focus very intently right now. Do I have your concentration? I'm just kidding. You don't have to do anything special. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it diagonally and then pinch it, and that's going to be it. And that's a petal. Isn't that so pretty? Now for this one, you could, actually let's do that. Let's do in the center, have our little bit of glue so it holds it together. And I think that this one might be easier to do with a needle and thread actually. So let's do that. I was gonna do it with glue, but I'm still a little foggy, and so I do not want to burn my fingers. I'm going to use this one, and I'll just use this pink because it's pink. Last time I pulled this out, I said I was going to organize it, and I thought about it, and it never happened. Well, I do have water back here. My word. Okay, I'm just going to make a knot at the end. That's a decent knot. So now, because I added the glue, it's going to be a little harder to stick the needle here because of that glue being so hard. Let me see if I can take it out. Okay. Nope. I'll start on this side. Look how thick that glue is. Okay. I think I'm gonna just do another. I think that's good. We're going to do the same thing here. Well, I just realized that my knot at the end never went. Oh, there it is. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that. I don't think I am. So I have an extra piece. I'm kind of the worst at hand sewing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach this real quick using a knot so that I can cut the edge off because it's getting in my way. I'm so clumsy at hand sewing. And I'm going to do one more, getting that felt inside. And I think part of the problem was that I used all 6 strands on my embroidery thread instead of cutting it. Let's get rid of this little guy. This is going to be, I twisted it more this time, so it's going to be a little harder to get through it. Ugh. I know I was going to be using muscles today. Look how pretty that is already. I think we're probably just going to need maybe 2 more. This is a great project to do when you want to put on a show or a podcast, maybe a audiobook or my channel. I'm adding an extra stitch right here because I want this to lay down some. Oops. And then I think we're going to end up using that last one. So I'm just going to move this one over just a little bit to secure it on that side. And then that leaves us the little, I'm probably going to cut down that fuzz. I'm going to go through and I don't know why, I feel like that one's not as secure. Ooh, what did I do here? And I think I'm going to cut that off. Now I see, excuse me, right here, this is a little bit more floppy than the rest, so I'm just gonna, I might just cut it, but I am gonna add a stitch right here to hold it down. And that was kind of a big stitch, so it's kind of too late. I'm not going to worry about it. Normally you would want that stitch to be a little smaller. So I'm going to add one more. I'm going to just end it with a knot. All of you that hand stitch all the time are probably like, no, 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 you're doing everything wrong. It's okay. Look how cute that is. Okay, this is already getting way bigger than I was expecting. Okay, so let's pull that journal back. And that's going to be really big here. Okay, so now because of that, those are the only two that we'll do. So we've got our squares, and then what do we want to call this one? Like a loop? No, I don't know. If you have a name for this one, or if you know what it's, maybe it has a name, let me know. So now what I'm going to do is I still want to add some pieces in between. So I'm going to start with, let's grab our lace back. And I know for sure I want this petal. And I think I'm going to just glue this down right here. And I'm just adding little drops of glue in any of the solid pieces. That way it's not seeping through. So sorry. And I think I am going to kind of scrunch that up, maybe. Like this. Okay, I am going to add another piece of the lace. And I'm just pretty much cutting out the flowers. I can always, for these little pieces that are extending, I can always change them. So what if we do that? It's a little thick. Okay, so now for something like this, I'm just going to make kind of how we did here. I'm going to create some little florals right there. What I love about this kind of fabric is from the chindi rug is that it has these pieces like this because excuse me, I think these were all remnants that were maybe, you know, all for different projects. And so this could have been part of a skirt or a shirt or something, and it was just like extra pieces, and then they make it into a rug. And I love being able to see that, those little edges, and I love the way that that just looks so pretty to me. So what if we left that? Let's see. What if we left it like this? Like almost as if it was the, I kind of like that. I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to cut it. And that way I can still appreciate the beauty of the original. And it kind of, you can still see, you know, the pieces that were there, even though I'm thinking maybe I'll scrunch this up just a little underneath here. Let's see. I kind of like that. We're gonna go with that. So I'm just adding some glue and then scrunching this up. That's it. Okay, now this is not tied down. Look how pretty that is just by itself. That is so pretty. Okay, I think I'm making an executive decision here and not thinking this through too much. And then we're going to add this one here somewhere. So pretty. Okay, and then, you know, originally I was thinking about adding something here. Maybe we'll add a little bit of the lace, and that would balance out the bottom and the top. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it out. That was not even dry yet. I like that though. So that's so beautiful. Okay, now we can add some like little rhinestones or anything to the center if we want. That's so gorgeous. I have this piece which I made, I think, if I recall, these are just like a regular size pearl, and then these are the little pearls wrapped around it, and then a little, what do you call this thing? Sequin, maybe? No, if you know the name, drop it. So I could add stuff like this. I kind of feel like it takes away from the design. This one's too bright, but I could do a button. I don't like that. Something, no. I think that's way too big. That might have looked good here if we wouldn't have done this. I kind of think that I'm going to leave it as is. I did print this double-sided because I didn't know what I wanted it for, and so I wanted to print it double-sided. So I still think I'm going to use it. And I think I'm going to use all of it to wrap around. Oh darn, I'm cutting into the album. That's okay. So originally, let me think for a second, because originally we were going to, this is extended, right, so that this can grow. If I wrap it like this, it's going to not allow for that. So what if, you know what if we just cover the front cover? I think that's our best solution here. And I can cover partly into this here. Hang on. To like right there. No, I want to go just to this piece here. So, alright, let's do that again. And I think I'm going to round the edges of this when we're done as well. And the reason I wanted to show you all this, oops, this came out somehow, is because there's times where maybe you'll make something that you don't absolutely love. And sometimes, you know, that's okay. You don't have to love every single thing that you do, but I wanted to show you that it's fixable. And I think I'm good with that, even with the edge, even though we can wrap the edge. You know what would look really pretty? Okay, I think I have an idea. Okay, let's attach this first. And I think I'm just going to use some art glitter glue since it worked before. Sorry if you don't like this noise. Wherever, excuse me, wherever there is glitter on this paper, so you can see here this is flat, but then the white has glitter, you're going to want to add extra glue there. I feel like my cut is a little off, so I'm going to try to straighten it. You already know that I can't cut in a straight line, so good enough. Oh my, can't even get to that bone folder. And this definitely does not have to be perfect because I'm adding my my beautiful brooch to it. Look how beautiful that is. And you can barely see the paper underneath. I should have left that and just covered the spine, but I think I'm going to cover the spine anyways. But what I was thinking is I have this tape that I made. Excuse me. I think this might work. I don't think it's going to stick. Let's see. I think that that's so pretty. Okay, so let's get some glue on here. And then I don't have enough of this, like another one of this, so I'm going to cut up the other two. I'm going to show you. I think I'll be able to add them to the edge of the rest. Oh no, this didn't go down that far. That's okay. It's okay. I got all excited about this working. I want the edges glued down really well. I have to cut that little birdie in half. That's sad. I'm going to leave this upside down on my desk so that it doesn't glue onto anything. And I'm going to wipe this off. And this is perfect to use tape for this part because now all of my score lines are still there. That is so pretty. So now I need to decide if I want to do the same to the back. So I don't have enough tape to do it all the way across, but I could come here and then join, you know, some of this tape down here at the bottom and then leave that. Like that. So it's not at a bend part. I think what I might do is off camera, I might create more of this, like, so it looks like it's fabric. And so I'll have to do, you know, maybe 3 pieces of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So on camera, I'm going to leave it like this. And then we are going to attach our brooch. And the reason I'm calling it a brooch and not like a fixture is because we are going to attach it with, I love this floppy piece here. It's so sweet. We're going to attach it with a pin. I have to go find a pin, and then I have to have a new closure for it. And I would do something like this because I think that the contrast is really wonderful with this closing like this. And maybe I'll leave it for now and then see how it goes. Like maybe not do anything set in stone yet, because it's a lot. It might take a little bit away from the journal, so I might just do like a ribbon. I'm trying to think. I do have like seam binding I could use, like just a I think this is just white maybe. And the other thing I could do is I could dye this pink, which is probably what I'll do. So let's decide how big I want this, or how long I want it. I think we'll do somewhere around here. That flower is so fabulous. Let me attach it real quick. So we have several options. We could attach it using just a paper clip and just attach it. I could come here. And attach it like that. That way I can move it around. You could also use a safety pin, or you could use one like a brooch pin. I just happen to have these. And so then I could, you know, sew this or glue it to the back of my felt and then poke holes in the cover. For now, I think I'm just going to leave it with the pin, but I will start to dye this with you so that you can see it. And so I'm gonna have to go off camera because I don't think I have a spray bottle near me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this just damp, and then I'm gonna crinkle it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have it, and it's more than just damp, it's pretty wet right now, and I just want to crinkle it, and I can take it out and re-crinkle it. But before we let it dry, I'm going to grab my watercolors and I'm going to dye it in a shade of pink. Okay, and I'm going to create a pink off of this, and I think I really like, since this is at the bottom, I really like this dusty color, so I know that right off the bat I'm going to be adding some yellow to the pink. I'm going to try this Potter's Pink. That might be a good color on its own. Let's see. Actually, that is a pretty color. And I think that might be good. So we can do this, or you can go straight in and dip it into your watercolor. Now I do want to add, like that, and just clean it up with that. I do want to add a little bit, because I do think it has a little bit more brown into it. So I'm going to add just a touch of, let's see, this, I think the trans yellow oxide might be good, or maybe the Naples yellow, which is kind of a cream. And I'm not going to add it everywhere, but I'm just going to like dab it here and there. And then I think that's a really pretty color. If we compare it. We can go a little bit darker with the pink. It's going to dry lighter. And we can keep repeating those steps over and over till we get the color that we want. And now I'm just going to dry it. And as you're drying it, you're going to, if you want it more crinkly, then you just squeeze it dry, squeeze it dry. Okay, so that's pretty dry. It's a tiny bit damp. And so now I'm going to look at it. I think that's a perfect color. And then I can string it through. I think I'm going to do it a little different, and I'll just tie it here. And there we go. Now we fixed a journal that maybe wasn't going to get used because it wasn't the right color palette. And I think that we elevated it even more than just like fixing it. I think this is definitely an elevation project. This could also be made a lot smaller and then put on a journal that you already really like and you just want a beautiful brooch on it. And again, you don't have to attach it. You can temporarily attach it, and like, I mean, it's not really going anywhere, and it's still really beautiful and really a statement piece. And you know that I love statement pieces. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, for spending your time with me, for all of your comments and your likes and your shares. That really means so much, and it helps my channel out so much because it pushes it out to other people, so that it kind of lets YouTube know that, hey, this is content that you know, Susie might like because she watched a different creator's tutorial, or you know, whatever, however that algorithm works. But I just wanted to thank you for doing those things, that they are not for nothing. They really do help me out, and I appreciate you. I also wanted to remind you, in case no one has told you today, that you're beautiful. You matter. You are worthy. and you are loved more than you'll ever know. I thank you again. Until next time, love you. Bye.